Hi.
We are.
I wasn't sure whether I was going to raise my hand or not because the initial question that I had became irrelevant. And
That's
then
a hard word, isn't it?
Yeah, I picked it up from you. And then I thought, as you were talking about, and everyone was raising their hands, I thought, you know what? She just spoke about expansion. And if I sit here and just say, I want to expand to the expansion of everyone else in this room, I just want to see what happens. And here I am.
You are a good representative of the consensus of the beginning point of this conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So those were pretty accurate words that you just reflected to us, yes.
So it comes down to, I'm a writer. And I hear a lot of your tapes about you talk to writers and you say, write another book or write another this.
Just keep it flowing. Keep it flowing.
Keep it flowing.
Without too much,
yeah.
too much conversation to yourself about what has flowed, putting the emphasis on the thrill of the flow.
I become high in life when I write.
Yeah.
And to see the results of what I write.
Well, that's the part that we were saying. The results are a good thing, but if you're looking back at results, it's a different vibration than looking forward to the new. And that is the tripping point for so many, is what we are saying to you as you enjoy the now, as you are interpreting it, rather than looking back at what you interpreted under different conditions. Your pleasure in writing will increase dramatically as you let your emphasis be upon the moment in time, the function, the experience, the emotion, the flow, the thrill, the clarity, the focus, the thrill, the clarity of the flow. Because when you focus back on it, it's not as powerful a moment. It's like if you were sculpting clay. Hands in the clay, that's the creative process. Once a statue is standing there, make another one. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to figure out is, as I'm creating, getting this work produced, I'm led, literally, things drop in my lap.
We like to say, perfect words, but we like to say, as what I've already put into my vortex, which is a vibrational reality. And as all the cooperative components have been assembled by law of attraction, and as I hold myself in this steady, good-feeling place of expectation, I am the realizer of, or the translator, but the realizer, the allower. That's what you're doing. It feels like it's dropping in your lap.
Yes.
But it only drops there when your personal state of being and your vibrational frequency is equivalent to what you have already created. In other words, it's important to understand. Step one, you've heard us say this, but it really applies here. Step one is life causes you to create. Life causes you, the details, the variety, the contrast of life causes you to create. But you create a vibrational reality that isn't yet tangible. It isn't even thinkable. It isn't even, the components of it are so subtle that it takes a finely tuned frequency in order to realize the combining and the subtlety of all that has been created. And that receiving point, that conception point, that realizing point, that's that point that the idea flows. And it feels to you like it just dropped into your lap. Well, it's been part of your experience for a long time. You dropped it piece by piece in our lap a long time ago. And we've been sitting here with it, enjoying it, loving it, knowing the perfection of it, and holding the frequency of it steady until you can accomplish a frequency that is same, and then you become the realizer of the broader version, not broader than what you created, but all inclusive of what you have created. The manifestation point, the point of manifestation, the realization point.
But my question comes to
Yeah.
when those things fall in my lap, as I say, they then fall apart.
Well, only because you were not steady enough in the vibration to maintain the realization of them. You see, how the intangible becomes tangible is all about focus. And focus is about attention. A thought, you could think a thought for a split second, and it wouldn't have any meaningful impact in your experience. But as you continue to focus there until it's familiar, until it's what humans call a belief is a really substantial vibration that will prove itself to you with a reality. People think that they believe because they're observing reality, and sometimes that's the case. But it's so much better when you observe the reality that you have believed before you saw it, you see. And so if it's falling apart, it only means it's still, fragile isn't the right word at all. It's just underdeveloped in you. You developed it fully, otherwise you couldn't have even caught a glimpse of it. But your relationship to it is not fully developed because you have ideas that contradict it. Like I wonder about it, or I'm not sure about that, or I want more money but about it. You see what we're getting at? So let's talk about that just for a moment, because it's really what you're feeling. A thought, something that you focus upon. Something that you focus upon. Now let's start again, given what we've said here to you today, which was leading edge, by the way. We've not been talking like this before. Aren't you pleased that you're co-creating in this experience? So here this vibration is that you are in the vicinity of. And why? Because you're not doing something that keeps you out of the vicinity of it. How's that? You're not doing that thing you do that's preventing you from it. You're not ragging on somebody. You're not negative about something. You're not feeling sorry for yourself. You're not frustrated about something. In other words, you're in this place where you're not emitting a vibration that contradicts it. It usually comes when you first wake up, or after you've been meditating, or after something wonderful has happened. In other words, it usually it comes in a variety of ways. So, but for whatever reason, you were in a place of non-resistance, and so you realized it. For a moment, you caught a glimpse of it. Maybe it was even a stream of thought that was really satisfying for a little while. But you couldn't maintain it because you haven't habitually hung around in that frequency. You've been sifting through the contrast. You see, when you know what you don't want and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want 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 and you know what you do want, you're launching the what you do wants, but the question is, where is your habit of vibration? What are you usually focused upon? Because every subject is wanted and unwanted all at the same time. The question is, where's your vibration practiced on this subject of prosperity, or on this subject of receiving inspiration, or on this subject of anything? Because you might be thinking that you're thinking about what you want when really you're thinking about the absence of what you want. And that's what happens with so many writers. They are so aware of what's not flowing. They catch glimpses of what is flowing. Oh, isn't that a sweet moment when it flows and you know it and you're tuned in and you feel it because the whole of you is focused right here in this moment. But then something causes you to get hold of another part of your frequency, and then it's not quite as clear. We said to friends, a group of wonderful people gathered in Asheville last weekend. Small group. We were together for 2 days, and we said to them toward the end of the day, you really feel your cleverness right now, don't you? They were all so full of themselves. In other words, tuned in to the frequency of who they really are. And we said, and we know, you're going to go home and somebody's going to say, where were you? And you're not going to want to tell them. And they're going to say, what did you learn? And you're going to say, because right now it's all crystal clear. because we've been focused together. You're in tune with who you are. The clarity, the fullness, the wholeness of all that you are is focused within you right now. But you're probably not going to maintain that because you're going to focus into the real world and you're going to focus on other vibrations that prevent you. You can't set your radio dial on one frequency and receive what's being broadcast on another, and that's exactly the same thing. But don't worry about it. Say to yourself, it's not my job to maintain that frequency all the time. I've launched the rocket. I've tapped in on it. I will find it again. If I could find it in the beginning, I will find it again. It's in the process of evolving, and even more important, this is the part we want you to hear, even more important, I am learning to maintain a steady frequency of feeling good. So it's not a frequency of thinking about the subject you're writing about. It's not a frequency of becoming an expert and trying to remember what that was about. It's the frequency of feeling good. If you can let, oh, here it is. So did you follow us that you know what you don't want and you launch the rockets and you get it, that there's a vibrational reality that exists that is everything that you want? You don't have to pinpoint the details of everything that you want and hold those steady in your mind. That's not what we mean when we say maintain the frequency. You just have to not offer an opposing vibration. So in simple terms, you just got to find something to feel happy about, something to feel glad about, anything. It could be so far off the subject of your book that it's not even in the same realm at all, but your happiness will put you in a frequency that you will click right back in to that leading edge place that you are enjoying so much.
I understand that.
We know you do because it happens all the time. You can get back to it all the time. Right. So what is writer's block? Writer's block is... I
can't say that I have writer's block, though.
We don't say that either, but we want to use this as an example. Okay. What writer's block is a vibration that in this moment is disallowing what you've already written. You're not allowing yourself to translate what life has caused you to already know. Almost everybody has a version of writer's block. We could call it desirer's block. We could call it preventing myself from the full realization in this moment of everything that I am, you see? And so we want to take it. This conversation is so pleasing to us because you help us bridge in a room full of people that want to talk about creation. You help us bridge the gap between the creation that is already accomplished vibrationally and the manifestation of it, because what you write is that intangible stuff. What you write, what you accomplish is an idea. That's your creation. It's an idea. That's your creation. And it takes this perfect synthesis of who you are. That's what's happening right here. In other words, we are offering a frequency, and Esther has to be in the vicinity. And what you're hearing is this perfect blending of Esther's translation because of her proximity to our vibration and our vibration. So she's translating what we know into tangible in terms of being able to hear terms. And you're doing the same thing when you write.
The things that fall apart are getting the writing to the next level. The meeting of the people who are supposed to take it and get it produced.
Oh, so what you're saying to us is, when it's just you and you,
I'm fine.
So your expectation of your ability to receive has been practiced so that that part of it is easier. It's easy, even let's say seamless. Where it falls apart is in your expectation of what comes next. That's the part that you've been practicing even now a few times with us to your disadvantage. So cut it out. Because when you focus upon what they're not doing, that's what you're creating. That's the part of the scenario that you are realizing, because you are the perceiver of this outcome. You let it come out, outcome. You let it come out, and it comes out as you perceive it. So if you perceive it, even though it feels like this is just an accurate, truthful description of what's happening. And we say, that's not creating reality, that's regurgitating reality. That's observing reality. That's extending reality. If you want to create a different reality, you got to tell a different story. You got to feel it different than it is. Well, Abraham, how am I supposed to feel something different than it is? Well, you got to stop looking at what is, for one thing, because every time you look at it, you make that a bigger part of your vibrational practice, you see.